We are not going back to normal. We're not going back, even if there is a vaccine, when it does happen, how it happens worldwide, we don't know yet, but sometime next year, we're not going back to what was before. We have changed the way that we look at things. We have changed the way that we look at work. We have changed the way that we look at politics. We have different expectations from companies that we work with and that we work for. We have discovered amazing technologies. We have discovered that we actually want to meet in person. We have discovered that we can work from home just as well, though at the same time, we are going to a new normal, a bunch of new normals. It's kind of a little bit like what it was in World War II on similar large-scale disruptions like this. For example, in World War II, women went to work. Finally, because all the men were at the battlefront, and after World War II, that was the normal. And now we're here in a kind of tough situation, quite similar in many ways, where our paradigms are being disrupted, and we're starting to think that this is normal, that we can actually do this. We can work from home, we can use technology, we can go virtual. I mean, that's the first point. Let's not say that we're going to go back to the pre-pandemic circumstances. We're not. We're going to a new world, and that world is also vastly different. This decade is shaping up to be a wild ride of things that are different, having to do with so many global factors that were there before, but amplified in the COVID crisis. For example, climate change. For example, technology. For example, political considerations. For example, supply chain changes and China. And the story goes on. Let me get into more detail on this. One thing that we see, of course, now we are all kind of digitally we're working in the cloud, right? We have finally gotten to the place where we say, well, no, it's possible, and we can say very much whatever was nascent before, what was already there, kind of incubated, has become the new normal now, and it's very likely to prevail. Here's a whole bunch of lists of things, and Bill Gates gave a great talk about this the other day at an interview on YouTube. But basically, remote everything is going remote. We're buying things virtually, we're studying virtually, we're going to school virtually, and some of it is pretty harrowing, actually, not a great experience, but we're getting used to it, and we're changing the way billions of dollars are going into remote teaching, remote conferencing, and augmented reality, virtuality, holograms. We're getting into resetting supply chains. Every business is now looking at second or third tier orders of how they can support their own supply chain and not be dependent on one single place like China and others. And inequality is a huge challenge. We're realizing that many people that do not have the wherewithal to go and get good health care, they're stuck. In many countries where there was lots of inequality, like the US, or there is lots of inequality, like the US and Brazil, this is being amplified in the crisis, and it's forcing us to take action. We're looking at climate change issues. Many people are saying, well, now if we can sacrifice for COVID, maybe we should sacrifice for climate change so we can address that. I personally think that COVID-19 is kind of a test run for climate change. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then we have leadership struggles. We're clearly recognizing who performed well as a leader and who did not. Many countries were led by women. Taiwan, New Zealand, Iceland, maybe Switzerland, and many others have gone ahead of the curve, right? And have done pretty well and have gotten a lot of trust in the government. So many, many issues piling up here in both directions. COVID-19 is bringing out the best in us and the worst in us at the same time.